What is going on, guys? Hopefully there wasn't too much of a glitch at the start there. I have this killer video for you today. Now, I came across this article the other day, and there's a section of the Daily Mail Australia, because they've got Daily Mail UK, Australia, etc. But they've got this section called Female, which is FEMAIL. And it's basically just all women stuff. And that's cool, right? But I came across this article the other day from them, and I'm actually a little surprised that they included this in. Why are modern women so aggressive? It's been called the dark side of equality, a surge in respectable women, and respectable, let's use that term loosely, flying into violent rages for the most trivial reasons. Now, that must have been quite an opener, because I just got a $50 donation from Dynamite Rabbit. Appreciate you, man. He says, Bowser kneels to Cal, not Superman. Not bad for Rabbit, though. Not bad at all, Dynamite Rabbit. So this one's for you guys. And this is written by a woman called Antonia Hoyle. I said, this isn't some dude raging at women. This is a chick talking about chicks going nuts. Think about that. For relaxation, Joe Scott loves nothing more than curling up with a good novel. Attentive to her health, she makes sure she swims regularly and eats well. Cozy nights in with her beloved partner are sacrosanct. Oh, so sweet. So seemingly serene is the 51-year-old that she even soothes others in the course of her career as a Reiki therapist. But, there's a big but there, like an increasing number of respectable women, Jo has become so consumed by rage that even a simple trip to buy the weekly groceries can lead to frighteningly aggressive outbursts. Do any of you men relate to this story? Because I know I do. I've been there. I've been the recipient of the Reiki teacher style person who's, you know, the picture of Zen, but flies into a violent rage and just flips the fuck out when something happens that they don't like. Recently, Jo completely lost it when another driver tried to take the space she wanted in a Tesco car park. Jo's response was instant and utterly disproportionate. I was there first, so I got out of my car as he approached and shouted, "Fuck you, asshole! I'm staying here until I get this space!" The driver was a man much bigger than me, but I wasn't intimidated. I told him we'd be stuck there all day if he didn't move, which eventually he did. And I got my way, right? Because that's what chicks do. These type of nut jobs, these particular types of individuals, they will just push and push and push till they get what they want. And if you're in the way of them getting what they want, then you'll be the one that gets pushed. It was just another explosion among many for Jo, whose slender size 10 frame belies her steely aggression. And despite the fact that her career relies on her being positively zen-like about life, her dark side is on show almost daily. And I just got a message from Nobody, that's actually his name in the chat, says, "Amazed YouTube recommended your live stream. I did not have to look for it." That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Although I'm not counting my chickens before they're hatched. I'm not safe from this YouTube purge at all. Once I'm riled, it's as if a switch is pressed and my temper turns me into a completely different person. No, you're just the same. You're the same person. You're just exposing yourself for exactly who you are, which is a nut job, says Jo. I swear? Really? Slam doors? No. Shout? A woman shouting? I can't believe this. And throw things. A woman throwing things? Since when does that ever happen? Since when do women ever swear, slam doors, shout, and throw things? Because, you know, sugar and spice and everything nice. Worryingly, it would seem this is a dangerous trend, seen by many as yet another dark side of equality, aka feminism, or at least feminist feminists say that feminism is about equality. So, you know, if they're going to go talk about equality, then they're really talking about feminism. So, yeah, worryingly, it would seem this is a dangerous trend seen by many as another dark side of equality. Stories of professional women drinking themselves into ill health. Trying to keep up with male colleagues are well documented. Women drinking themselves into ill health? No, surely that doesn't happen. But they are now matching men on the aggression front too, putting themselves in physical danger, risking their good name, career prospects, and relationships. Oh man, this is just packed with truth, packed with it. In 1957, men were responsible for 11 violent offenses for every one perpetrated by a woman. That's recorded offenses, of course. Today, that is 4 to 1. So 20% of all violent offenses recorded are done by women. And getting worse by the day. Add to the mix long hours. Sorry, I got my phone balanced on my steering wheel so I can freestyle. Add to the mix long hours, pressure juggling work and family life, plus fluctuating hormones caused by the menopause, PMS or childbirth, and it's no wonder so many women are exploding with rage. Indeed, earlier this month it was reported that Oxford-educated, aka social justice educated, Jocelyn Robeson, a company director, 40 years old, etched the word, this is the article's words, not mine, cunt, in capital letters on 2, not 1, but 2 of her former boyfriend's cars after they broke up. And why did they break up with you, Jocelyn? Could it perhaps be that you're a freaking psycho that writes cunt on the cars and scratches it into the paint of people who don't like you anymore? Could that be why these people broke up with you? I think so. And last month, BBC presenter Jeremy Vine released footage of a woman smartly dressed and driving a top-of-the-range car down one of London's most expensive streets, who swore at him to, and I quote, "Get the fuck off the road," end quote, and allegedly kicked his bicycle. My temper drove away my partner. I just couldn't stop screaming at him and then storming out, is a little extract from the article. Research has also found that women are significantly more likely to be verbally and physically aggressive to men than vice versa, something physicians are seeing more of in their clinics, and something every man since the beginning of fucking time has witnessed also. We are treating women more than ever who are struggling to regulate their emotions and express themselves appropriately, says Dr. Monica Kane, a counselling psychologist at London's Nightingale Hospital. So what is causing the red mist? The red mist. I wonder what that's an analogy for. So what is causing the red mist to descend for so many women? And why is this anger afflicting so many, and again, I use this term loosely, upstanding women, the sort you might hope would be immune to or too ashamed of having outbursts? Like, when we say upstanding, we're talking about politicians and stuff, right? And you wonder why people are a little bit reserved about making quotas for females to be 50-50 representative of politicians. And there was a Harvard study, as Veritas Liberalibit Vos just said, 70% of non-reciprocal aggression is initiated by women. That was from a Harvard study done on, I think it was about 14,000 people from memory, between the ages of 18 and 28. And it was found that the answers from both the men and the women were consistent and congruent with each other and aligned with each other, and showed that, yeah, 70% of non-reciprocal domestic violence was initiated by women. Very, very, very interesting. Some experts suggest women believe that such outward displays of aggression allow them to seize the initiative from traditionally dominant men, whether it's in the workplace or around the dining table. Shouting, swearing, or throwing things are increasingly viewed as valid methods for women to assert themselves. Now, for any ladies watching this video right now, I just want to be very, very, very crystal clear about this. There is a big difference between being assertive, between taking a dominant stance and a leadership stance, and being a psycho by, you know, shouting, swearing, and throwing things, right? Shouting, swearing, and throwing things makes you look insane. I'm just gonna say right now, if I saw a dude shouting, swearing, and throwing things, I'd be like, this dude's lost the plot. He's just like gone bananas. So don't think for a minute that any of those behaviors are going to gain you any respect, any advancement, or any advantage whatsoever. It's just not going to happen. Dr. L. Bogue, social psychologist at Birmingham City University, says, women feel aggression is a form of empowerment. It has become so commonplace that it's not even shameful. Yeah, such progression, right? Such advantage for women to make themselves appear like freaking nut jobs. Indeed, Joe insists. Right, so this is the chick that this article was written about. Joe insists. She's adamant. It's her right to shout at family and strangers alike. I'm sorry. Like, if I went shouting at my family and strangers, people would be like, this dude is a psycho. This dude is genuinely psychotic. Now, I know sometimes I'll get a bit passionate in my videos. I'll get a bit animated. Sometimes I can get heated for all the right reasons. Because the shit that I read pisses me off. But I don't go yelling at strangers, and I sure as hell don't go yelling at my family. Look, maybe I've yelled at a family member a couple of times, like a handful of times. Like, probably could count all 10 times in the last 10 years. Like, I could count the amount of times I've yelled at a family member in the last 10, 15 years, you know, on one, maybe two hands. Right? And even then, it's maybe just like, leave me up, just let me do this. Right? And that'll be it. It'll be like a one and a half second just moment of asserting myself, maybe a little bit more, you know, you get the point. But that's what I'm saying, right? You can't just go around yelling and screaming at people and expect to be respected or expect to take a leadership position. It just doesn't work at all in any way, shape, or form. Unless you want people to be really freaking scared of you and you're very big and you're very powerful. And that's not most people. Jo insists it's her right to shout at family and strangers alike. When I've calmed down, I apologize if I'm in the wrong. Wait for it. But if someone has been rude or disrespectful, I feel my temper is justified. So basically, if her feelings tell her that she's in the wrong, she'll apologize. And they probably won't, because her feelings are usually going to justify what she's done. And then she's just gonna go, no, I'm justified. I'm not apologizing. I'm not in the wrong because I feel like I'm not in the wrong. That's how ridiculous that sentence from her is. How illogical. Lashing out is just a way of expressing myself, she says. So if a dude lashes out, right? Are we allowed to do that to express ourselves? Of course not. Because vagina and feminism and the Duluth model and everything that underpins that. as well as this sense of entitlement. And indeed, that's what it is. And Miranda Devine, and I've mentioned this many times, there is a fantastic, absolutely brilliant article that she wrote. And if you go search it, women believe they live in the age of entitlement. Or even just search female entitlement mentality, Miranda Devine. Give me 1 second here. All right. There is a, as well as this sense of entitlement, there's the ever-present age-old pressure to have it all. With competitive streaks accentuated by demanding careers and the seemingly perfect lifestyles displayed by celebrities, women are cracking under the pressure. Just like the foundation on their makeup. There is a perception that women have to have the perfect home, raise children, and have a career that's fulfilling and brings in an enviable lifestyle and income. We are driving ourselves to the limit, and a build-up of internal pressures over time can lead to us getting very frustrated over issues that would normally cause no more than a niggle. Such outbursts can also become addictive, a form of almost animalistic release. The burden mounts, tension builds, and the almost exquisite joy of letting it all out becomes almost compulsive for some women. And they're allowed to do that, but us dudes are not. We're not permitted to show any sort of frustration at all, because that's domestic violence, according to feminists. It's a feeling that Joe, who lives in Brighton with her partner Stephen, 50, and his 2 children, Jane, 21, and Tommy, 17, can identify with. While I don't feel proud of myself, there is a cathartic release in letting my emotions out. But as well as this rush, Joe also admits to feeling under constant pressure to provide for her family. Gee, I wonder who else has felt that since the beginning of time, but shut their fucking mouths and got to work. That's right. Me and you men. And every other man in history who's had to provide for a family. But now that women have got to do it, because women wanted that CEO job. They wanted that high pressure job. You know, they wanted to be bringing home the bacon. They wanted to be the leader of the family. And now they can't fucking hack it. After quitting a lucrative but exhausting career as an IT consultant to retrain as a therapist a decade ago, the increase in financial pressure has been almost intolerable. Yeah, kind of like when dudes are getting charged $25,000 a month in child support just because they're successful and they make good money. Because apparently kids cost $25,000 a month to raise when you have a gold-digging vagina that has custody of them. Add to this the postmenopausal mood swings she has suffered since 2013, and it's a toxic mix. The targets for her anger are many and various. Call center customer service operators are prime targets. She told one to shove their internet connection where the sun don't shine. Drivers who hog the middle lane prompt a storm of furious beeping. Litter droppers are screamed at. Her near daily outbursts follow a similar trajectory. First, I get heart palpitations and shake. Then I open my mouth without engaging my brain. I shout and use foul language I regret afterwards. It takes me a couple of hours before I can calm down. Her anger isn't limited to verbal assaults. Last week, after a hard day at work, she slammed her front door so hard the handle fell off. Thankfully, sorry. Oh my God. This is why I don't read these articles in advance, because I just come across so many ripper lines. Thankfully, her husband, Stephen, who works with disabled children, has learned how to cope with her outbursts because she is a disabled child. She is a mentally disabled child. This is what this article is advising me of. As mild-mannered as Joe is volatile, he's found out that the best thing to do is walk away and let the tantrum burn itself out. He first fell foul of her temper 3 months into their relationship when she smashed every bottle in her bathroom after a minor disagreement. Once, when Joe wanted to eat out and Stephen didn't, she kicked the air conditioning in her car so hard that it broke. I apologized profusely and promised I would never lose it with him again, but I obviously did. Her stepchildren, too, have learned to walk away from her outbursts. Let me add a little word in there. Childish outbursts. They usually react by storming off. Jane didn't speak to me for three days after an argument about tidiness. So what you mean is Jane got screamed at by a psychotic banshee and refused to speak to the psychotic banshee for 3 days. That's what that really means. Our relationship is still strained, which is a shame, but I feel convinced she is as much to blame as me. Notice that word, feel? I feel convinced she's as much to blame as me. Right? So, for this woman, Jo, it's just feelings dominate everything. Feelings dominate whether she's right or not. Feelings dominate whether her stepdaughter is happy with her or not. Like, feelings dominate everything. There's no logic, there's no rationale, and yet she was an IT consultant. She was a high-powered career woman. She had it all. And yet she still wasn't happy, because this is the feminist lie. According to Dr. Kane, anger is a surface emotion that masks hurt, frustration, and fear. It's part of the body's fight or flight response, she says. It works as a form of control and can make us assert ourselves better. However, Dr. Kane says, once anger escalates, we are incapable of rational thought. Well, Jo certainly is, that's for sure. Now, I just want to give you one little line here that I know of. And when emotion is up, intelligence is down, right? And that's just a fact, right? You're less intelligent when you're more emotional. And this is why we see so many women who are emotional making highly irrational and illogical decisions. So once anger escalates, we're incapable of rational thought. We lose our cognitive functioning. So basically, their brain shuts down when they start getting emotional. But we guys know this because we've witnessed it for our whole lives, right? We lose our cognitive functioning and are less likely to see things objectively and communicate healthily. Surprise, surprise. It can lead to us hurting or attacking somebody else, either verbally or physically. It can corrode relationships. And they're only just working this out now? It's rare that a day passes without Anne-Marie Fisher, 32, descending into an all-out rage. From long queues to bad drivers and noisy neighbors, it's almost easier to list what doesn't make her angry. I'm going to show you Anne-Marie and I'm going to show you Jo. So this is Anne-Marie. All right, this is Anne-Marie. And this is Jo. This is psychotic Jo, whose feelings dominate her entire world. She's the same one in the thumbnail, sitting in her car, drinking alcohol. Right? The same Jo. She's posing for all these photos. Any more narcissistic? I don't think so. Her rage is fueled by... So this is Anne-Marie now. Her rage is fueled by an endless quest for perfection, as she admits. I see red when things aren't done in a certain way. So if she doesn't get her way or what she thinks is the right way, then she basically has a freaking hissy fit. Anger also masks my insecurity. I take everything personally. And if I didn't get angry, I'd burst into tears. Or she just bursts into tears after she gets angry. Either or. Interestingly, it was her pregnancy with son Frank, now 6 months old, which led to her temper escalating. An otherwise quietly spoken sales manager, Anne-Marie says she's always been someone to stand up for herself if something seems wrong, but suddenly she became easily infuriated. I got into shouting matches with doctors, receptionists, and threw a shoe at my neighbor's wall when their building work disrupted my Sunday morning. Though she makes a concerted effort never to shout in front of her baby son. Yeah, I bet she makes so much of an effort that she does it all the time. She can pinpoint the time her fuse became short to the day she gave birth in February. Psychologists say this is probably due to testosterone levels, the same hormone associated with aggression in men. There it is, men are aggressive, and it's somehow our fault that she's a psycho. Which remains low during pregnancy and then rises after a woman gives birth. So extreme are her moods that her husband Stephen, 36, an office team leader, has nicknamed her Hormones. Her nickname is Hormones. If he hears me being rude to someone, he'll put a hand on my shoulder and remind me it's not worth getting angry about. But despite his patience with her, even Stephen can foresee trouble ahead if his wife doesn't attempt to temper her moods. He warns me that one day I'm going to get angry with the wrong person and they will be provoked and I will be physically hurt. Do these feminists even realize that this is exactly why men hit women? Because of exactly what this husband is worried about. It's not because we're violent, oppressive misogynists. It's because we get pushed to our limit by these psychos. We get emotionally manipulated and attacked by them. And there's only so much a man will tolerate. So that's literally why men lash out at women, because of women like this that just keep pushing buttons until it's too late. And then men get the blame for it, even though it was totally the woman's fault for driving him to that point. But whatevs, right? And by the way, no excuse for hitting anybody unless your life's in danger. But I can understand why people do it when they're pushed to the limit, right? Regardless of whether I think it's a good idea or not. So you read these horror stories about people carrying knives, especially in incidents of road rage. However, despite her husband's advice, her husband's best advice, I'm going to add that little word in there because it is very good advice to her that she's clearly not going to listen to. It hasn't stopped Anne-Marie swearing impatiently at fellow drivers who don't allow her adequate time to reverse her four-wheel drive into the drive of her 3-bedroom London home. So apparently she can't reverse properly either, even though she's done it a million times into her house. And when last year she decided a driver was too close behind her as she kept to a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, she braked suddenly and got out of the car. I asked the driver, a young man, what the hell he thought he was doing driving up to my bumper, she says. My heart was pounding as he called me a bitch and drove off. He wasn't wrong. Targets for her ire are wide-ranging. The elderly, for example, do not escape. Old people can be so rude. They don't open the door for me when I'm wheeling Frank in his buggy. I mutter, for Christ's sake, but make sure they can hear me. When a childless woman took the last mother and baby parking spot at her local supermarket, Anne-Marie followed her inside like a fox chasing a rabbit. I said, I have a new baby and it's selfish of you to park there when you have no children and you could have parked anywhere. The woman didn't stop apologizing and moved her car immediately. Afterwards, I felt awful for intimidating her. So women do intimidate people. It's not just men, right? But you listen to feminists and they'll tell you that men do all the intimidating, which of course is complete bullshit. Perhaps unsurprisingly, she has upset family and friends with her behavior. In restaurants, she's embarrassed loved ones by high-handedly sending food back she considers isn't good enough. And as she confesses, some feel wary of me, and I've started avoiding others in case I alienate them more. Despite her guilt at her bad behavior, Anne-Marie, whose general practitioner referred her to a counselor 6 weeks ago, insists she only gets angry at things when it's justified. In some ways, I'm only behaving in the way men have for years. Didn't I say exactly this? Right? Women justifying shit because they think men behave this way so they can behave that way. That doesn't make any behavior good just because someone else did it. If someone else goes and shoots up a school, does that mean that's okay behavior? Does that mean that women can go out and start doing it and that'll just be totally cool because they're justified because some guy did it? Get the fuck out of here. Right? So she's justifying her bad behavior because apparently men have done it for years, so it's okay for me to do it now. Frustration at not being able to live up to modern society's high standards is also making many women angry, says Dr. Kane. Women today expect to have everything and have it quickly, which results in anger, she says. So what she's saying is if women don't get things now when they want it, in the moment they get angry. No such thing as delayed gratification anymore, at all. It's just out the window. They get angry if they don't get instant gratification. Gemma Dawson, 27, and I'm going to use this word loosely, mature business studies student from Wakefield, Yorkshire, found herself becoming so furious at her failure to keep up with her friends' polished lives as seen on social media that she gave up using Facebook altogether. Right? This is a 27-year-old. Tell me how old you think she looks. Right? Just give me your thoughts. Drop it in the comments. It was so competitive and fake and made me feel bad about myself, said Gemma. I would look at pictures of friends' perfect lives on Facebook and feel so angry that mine wasn't as good. So basically, she was looking at her friends posting photos of their amazing nights out with the guy that whoever has posted the picture is milking dry of money, and post the photos from their once a year holiday that some poor cuck is taking photos of her at the beach of. But despite curbing her internet activity, she still struggled to control her temper throughout her previous relationship. Nearly every day with former partner Chris, 36, a customer services representative, was filled with shouting matches. If he didn't want me to go out and I did, I reacted by screaming and storming out anyway, says Gemma. But as she confesses, her attempts to seize control by showing such aggression led to more problems. Gee, what a surprise. What a freaking surprise. Yelling didn't solve anything. Newsflash, genius, it doesn't. It just made me feel more wound up. I shouted at friends if I felt they weren't paying me attention. Even my mum, because I thought she favored my brother. As her 7-year relationship broke up in 2014, Gemma saw a counselor. She suggested ways to deal with my aggression other than screaming, that I should listen to the other person, finish talking before I started, and write letters to people to articulate my emotions. Wow, your counselor sounds like they actually have a brain and isn't a feminist. And it's this process of stepping back that is the best way women can conquer the plague of rage, says Dr. Kane. If we wait until the anger subsides, we can get to the underlying emotions of hurt, frustration, and fear, and communicate from that position. It is advice that Joe is unlikely to heed anytime soon. I know deep down that lashing out isn't the best way to handle life, but I can't seem to help it. So there you have it, men. Women can't help lashing out. They can't help but not control their emotions. They can't help become aggressive and upset when they don't get things immediately, and their lives don't feel as perfect as these Insta lives and these social media lives. You know what? Seriously, social media needs to be eradicated. Feminism needs to be eradicated. You've got no idea how much happier the ladies of the world would be. overwhelmingly, sure, there'd be some people that would be less happy, but on balance, ladies would be way more happy if those two things were eradicated, in my opinion. Give me your thoughts on this video. I would love to hear from you. I'm going to put the description in the low bar. If you want to donate, paypal.me/SydneyMGTOW, subscribestar.com/SydneyMGTOW, and patreon.com/SydneyMGTOW. And thank you again to Dynamite Rabbit for that generous donation at the start of the stream. I appreciate you, man. I will catch you guys again in the next video. And if you haven't yet subscribed, and this is your first time watching, make sure you hit the subscribe button down the bottom and then smash the bell next to it like Kate Mulvey smashed the wall. Until next time, men.